What's going on, everyone? This is Conversations with Brian and Elijah, episode number 4 already. And today we're going to talk about the future and what we think the future is going to hold, and what we would like to see change, and maybe things that we think are going to be the same.
Yeah.
So to start off, future. What is the future to you? Are we talking 10 years, 20 years, 100 years? What's our time frame that we're working with here?
Let's go within the next decade. I want to, the next 10 years, and maybe, what's going to change in 5 years. I think I'd like to start with 5 years. So do you want to start us off, or do you want me to start off? I have a lot to say about this for sure.
Yeah. Start off. I'll back off whatever you say.
Yeah. So to give some context is that I talk to a lot of scientists and people in the medical field, because that's what I do with Destroy Duchenne. And anyways, I think that within the next 7 years, I think that we're going to start to see a lot of genetic diseases to be completely cured, not just treated with a little Band-Aid, but completely cured, as we're getting really good at gene editing, And so it'd be really interesting there. They already started some trials, for sickle cell anemia and other diseases where they can basically take a person's cells, take it outside the body. They call it ex vivo. Take it outside the body, they edit that, and then they put it back into the body, and then they see how it goes. And so it's really, really interesting stuff. So I think we're entering a golden age of medicine, and I think that's probably where we're going to see a lot of change. It's just not very well known. I mean, it is somewhat mainstream if you're into the science thing, but I'm not sure if the everyday person's aware of it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is get people aware of it, get them interested in it, because it's fascinating stuff, the medical industry. So I think we're going to see a lot of change, 100%, in the medical industry. I think we're definitely entering a golden age of medicine. So that's where I would say that a lot is going to change there. Have you heard of stuff like CRISPR, Cas9, or gene editing or anything like that, Brian?
Yeah, I have heard, and it's super fascinating. Like you said, I mean, I didn't even know that part that you mentioned, that they take the genes, they literally take it out of the body and they put it back in. Is that how that works?
So for some diseases, right? And this is the main problem with with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This is what we're trying to figure out. So what they do with other ones, and this is where they're going to start because it's easier, is I believe sickle cell anemia. I believe it attacks the red blood cells or something within the blood. So what they're able to do is take that outside the blood, or take the blood, take it outside the body, and then they're able to edit it inside of a lab, right, completely separate from the actual person. They do the edit, and then they take that edited cell that's all completely fixed, and then they put it back into the person's body, and it doesn't really have too much of a risk. Where Duchenne muscular dystrophy, it attacks the person's muscle cells, so they would have to, if you were going to literally take all the muscles out of the body and edit them and then put them back in, reinstate them in, that'd be insane. I mean, your whole body's full of muscle. So the problem with this, and what we're trying to figure out, is how do we improve the vectors, the delivery vehicle used to deliver CRISPR or other types of gene editing, or even genes, right? There's gene therapy approaches too, which are interesting, and put that into get it to edit the cell safely and effectively within a person's body. So that's what we're trying to figure out, and that's what the organization I founded, Destroy Duchenne, is trying to help fund, is scientists who are working to improve vectors. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, gene editing is are there any other applications to gene editing that you know of besides diseases and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. So there's actually a lot of interest in using gene editing for editing plants, actually, for agriculture uses and stuff like that. I'm not super knowledgeable there, but I do know that they're trying that. And there's also some use for preventative medicine and stuff like that. Going back kind of on diseases, they're trying to use it to edit cells to basically with cancer or whatever, they use it to your immune system naturally fights it out. So they're trying to make it so that it's more equipped to fight off the cancer cells. So There's, I mean, the applications for it is kind of endless. And somewhat there's, concerns about that, like what this could lead to. But I think that using
Mm,
it to treat diseases is 100% a good thing. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
yeah,
So
yeah, interesting. Um, the next 5 years for me, uh, I'm gonna take it a different route. I'm curious to see where video games are in 5 years.
that's interesting.
Uh,
Interesting.
just because, like, I mean, you see like VR kind of start to pop up now, right?
Yeah.
Virtual reality.
Yeah.
And I'm curious where that's going to end up in 5 years, because right now it's not very commercial.
Mhm.
So I'm curious where that ends up in 5 years, because I don't know, I feel like at some point uh it's going to become so realistic, video games, that I don't know,
Is
maybe
this
you
a
won't be able to,
simulation theory?
you know what I mean? Like I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference. Um but before we get into that, what do you think about this whole exponential curve of the future and of technology, right?
The
So like,
singularity or whatever.
yeah, sort of like that. Like where, you said in 5 years, like gene editing, you see that, entering the golden age of medicine, right?
Yeah.
Think about in 50 years, right? If in 5 years it's going to be, we're going to be there in 50 years, think about where we're at. So like how technology kind of just grows exponentially and just keeps doubling and doubling and doubling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what, like, when did the iPhone come out? Like
2003.
2003, something like that, right? And like now, what is that, 10 plus years later, it's like we have these advanced pieces of technology, whereas
Yeah.
20 years ago it didn't even exist.
So advanced. Three cameras now.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Apple is like dropping the ball a little bit,
yeah,
but
but no, technology is increasing. I know what you mean.
yep.
Uh,
Yeah, so it's just growing exponentially, and so I'm just so curious to see if in 5 years things are going fast. What about 50?
yeah. No, I definitely think like what is. I mean, I'd almost feel like, in a sense, it's kind of hard to imagine what technological advance we're going to be at in 50 years. It's kind of like, I don't know. It's hard to really think, because technology just it is exponential. It's not just constant growth. It's exponential. I mean, you make one improvement and it seems like you're way advanced. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll be like in 50 years. That's kind of something that I do think will be in 50 years for sure is what's going on in outer space, right? And that's something that I'm really excited about too. Is I want to see, just like Elon Musk, just like Jeff Bezos, I want to see civilization in outer space on, multi-planetary species, right? I think that'd be really cool. And I think like, for practical purposes too, having a better presence in space could make life on every day here better, right? Like if you look at Starlink, right, what Elon Musk is doing there, trying to make an internet presence with all these satellites. So internet would be basically everywhere on Earth. And that can open up, faster internet. That could open up more jobs, more economic growth if people have access to the internet everywhere on the globe. So I do think in 50 years, right? I definitely think that in outer space is going to be completely different than it is now. One of the things that I know that Blue Origin is working on is they're working on reusable rockets, and that is super, super important, just to kind of lay the infrastructure needed to get going in outer space. Like for example, right, um, it will, if we have reusable rockets, it will cut the cost down to launch things in outer space tremendously, and now we can do a lot more stuff in outer space. Right now, it's kind of like the analogy that a lot of people use is if we have an airplane, and you have a ticket on it, and the airplane is only going to fly one time, and then you're going to throw the airplane away. The tickets would be very, very expensive because you're using this massive thing, highly engineered, sophisticated engines, tons of materials to build it. and you're just going to throw it away after. And that's what we're doing with rockets now. But with reusable rockets, it's just going to be like planes where we can use the same, the same shell, the same engines, all that stuff. So where we don't need to build it again. And that's going to cut the cost down tremendously and make it more affordable to launch stuff into outer space. So I definitely think in 50 years, space is going to be crazy different. And that's really exciting. Perhaps we would have a very small colony or some type of life present on different planets, such as the moon, Mars, etc. And that's that's never been done.
That's exciting. Yeah, for sure. There's this other company that I recently went public, and I bought maybe like 10 shares in. It's called Virgin Galactic. Have you heard of it at all?
Is that by Richard Branson's company?
It's Richard Branson. Yeah. But he there was this there's this guy named Chamath Polyhypatia. I adore him. He's like, I really really like whatever he says. Yeah. But he recently got appointed into the board of that company, and what they're doing is they're trying to launch space tourism.
Oh, okay.
So they're trying to you buy a ticket and they'll take you to space, and then you get to kind of visit space, see it from the safety of a rocket or whatever, and then they'll bring you back down. But what was interesting is they're also looking at to see how a flight to London, from LA to London, I think takes like 13 hours.
Uh-huh.
But think about if you could go into space and then land in London, it'll literally take like 4 hours.
Yeah, they call that they call this point-to-point space travel, which is
point-to-point space travel, which like will cut the time in on everything. And so I'm fascinated with this, and I kind of have a theory, and I want to I'm not an expert on this, but so I hear that you could be in China in 30 minutes, right? And so here's my question though. How would that change the economy? Because instead of shipping things over by, air or, on big cargo ships, what if you're able to just take those goods that countries are trading between each other and just ship it there? If goods are able to travel faster, what's that going to do to the economy? Would that make any difference at all? In my opinion, I think it would. I feel like it would make things a lot faster, because the faster goods get to one area, the faster people can sell them and use them to make other things to sell. Right? Yeah.
So
for sure.
So I love, my dog is just barking out here, but but no, I think that's really fascinating to me. Is like how fast, if we could transport materials and goods, what that would do to the economy. But I do think, I asked my teacher this, right? So let's say we have point-to-point travel. What is that is it really gonna be that much faster? Like in terms of like, wow, she just has to bark right now. This is great. But point-to-point travel, right? Is this going to make, is it going to make like people, okay, my dog is highly distracting me, but here's what I'm trying to say. So they said it'd take 30 minutes from the United States to China, right? Okay, cool. How long is it going to take to get on a huge rocket ship though? Like, is it going to, are you just going to walk on kind of like a plane, like a bus? Like, how long is the, what do you call that? The boarding time.
The boarding time.
Do you be able to just walk on quick, or do you think it would take forever to launch and to do all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll take, I don't know if it'll take more than a plane to be on a rocket, but I know rockets are very, very sensitive in terms of takeoff. I mean, you need a whole, I don't know how big a launch pad for a rocket is.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's got to be pretty massive, right? To like store those things. I mean, what companies are going to build these? Boeing, like these are massive rockets.
Yeah, I mean, I know Blue Origin is working on it. Same with SpaceX. And that's what's gonna, they're the ones who are trying to make this happen. And I think that would be really, really cool though. To, like, I mean, imagine having a date. You're like, hey, I'm taking you out. Oh, where are we going? We're going to outer space today. I mean, we're going to watch the stars on a whole new level, if you know what I mean. Right? I mean, so like it's just crazy. Like we're going to be able to do things that we've never been able to do. But what do you, Brian? So considering your experience and knowledge with social media, what do you think is going to happen with social media in the next 5 years? I mean, we see things like TikTok coming up right now, where people are able to. The algorithm is basically matching people, their interests perfectly with the audience. I mean, it's why it's so addictive. It's because it's matching exactly what you want. You like this? Well, I'm gonna give you more. All right, and that's. I mean, that algorithm is unmatched in my opinion compared to other ones. I've Facebook, Instagram. I haven't seen an algorithm that sophisticated and
Yeah.
so what do you think is gonna?
I mean, I think it's either gonna go two ways. I think people are just going to be like, okay, I think people are either going to be like, okay, privacy is just gonna be non-existent anymore, or they're going to kind of revolt against everything being online. Um, so obviously, social media has made us very public. But I think a lot of people, especially with the whole Facebook controversy, are starting to realize, maybe I don't want a company knowing everything about me. But I mean, at some level, like you kind of upload your whole life online, you know? So I don't know which way it's gonna go, but what's more fascinating to me is this whole short attention span thing. Like I really feel at some level that's really gonna hurt my generation, our generation, and
Yeah.
I think even more the generation after us. How short their attention spans are, you know. And then a few podcasts ago we were talking about education intellectualism. So that could even social media could even um, make that even worse because everyone is going to have such short attention spans, and I don't know at what level people are going to start realizing it. um but I mean, dude, like a month ago I went to go watch a movie with my friends, right? And I just see people checking their phone in the middle of the movie, like just literally just casually scrolling through Instagram in the middle of the movie. And I don't know, maybe the movie was boring or it just didn't catch their attention. But I mean, they couldn't just wait until after the movie. Like they were just so there's a certain level of anxiousness about not knowing what other people are doing. You know, I don't know if you've ever tried like a social media cleanse, like
Oh
just
yeah,
deleting
definitely.
everything cold turkey. I tried that maybe like 3-4 months ago. And I just remember the first 2 or 3 days, it was like I just felt like I was left out. Like I didn't feel connected to anyone, oddly, even though it was just through a phone. You know?
Yeah, I mean, freshman year before really I got into like business, I had a social media since fifth grade, Instagram, and I just deleted it. I genuinely did not care, and honestly, I felt so much more happy, so much more, uh, motivated, and whatever. And I always tell people this: if I didn't have to run a business, and if I didn't if I wasn't going after this impact I'm trying to create in the world, I probably wouldn't have a social media. I don't, it's not that important to me. I think that a lot of people were overvaluing it, for sure. But I definitely think we can use social media for good. And
Yeah.
that's kind
No.
of,
100%. Yeah.
so it's really about the people, right? Like some people say, it's just exposing us, magnifying who we really are. It's not changing us. It's just exposing our true characters more. I don't know. I think that more people, if they have good stuff to say, they need to speak up on social media for sure and put stuff out there, because a lot of it is just, kind of negative.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious to see at what level people are. I mean, you're sort of starting to see it. People deleting social media or speaking out against the badness, the bad stuff that social media can have on society.
Hmm.
But I'm curious to see how that plays out. I think I think it's gonna still be around because I can't see everyone just deleting it cold turkey.
Yeah,
Unless their attention is somewhere else.
I think it's too late. I think that people, we're way past it. I don't think we're ever going to go back to a day where majority of people are not using social media. I think it's too late. I think we're going to use social media for sure. But, I'm always curious as to what is the next social platform. Like TikTok, I could have never imagined that. Like it's so interesting how that was built. What's next though? Are we going to go to more audio based stuff now? Are we going to move away from visual video? Like, what is the next thing in social media? I don't know, but I'm curious to know, do you have any ideas? What do you think they might? I remember watching Gary Vee. He said like a social media where you can only make one post a day, like one action, that's it. And so like, it's going to put a lot more value on what you post. And I'm like, whoa, that's cool. So he's like, if you give someone a birthday, it's like a birthday shout out, it's going to be way more special because it's like, bro, you used your only post for the day, your only action to talk about me. Like, how special am I? And I think that would be really cool. Like, I mean, I don't know why somebody hasn't done that yet. If I knew how to code better, I would. Like, that's dope. I would make that. I think that could be a huge platform for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because, I think all these social media platforms just like exploit human psychology, like
Oh,
like
100%.
it's lit. Like Mark Zuckerberg is a psychologist, bro. He's, like and TikTok too. Like it's just
Literally, literally.
Those quick dopamine hits, it's like that to just make you happy. You just keep scrolling. I mean, have you ever thought about why Twitter is infinite? Like you just keep scrolling and it never stops. Facebook feed too, it just
Yeah.
you keep scrolling.
I'm pretty sure the way the TikTok algorithm works is it's like they do testing when you post a new video, right? And so if someone's watching for the first 3 seconds, then it moves up on like level 2, and then like if they're still watching in 10 seconds, it's like you're now level 3. And like if you watch the video if you watch the video twice or whatever, that's like a great video. They're gonna show that to everybody because those videos are more likely, they have higher watch time, and they're like, oh, people like this, so they're interested. And the only videos that you get, the only videos that you see are the ones that are going to keep your attention. So it's like they are really doubling down on what you want to see. And that's why people are like, dude, I'm on TikTok 4 hours a day. Like literally 4 hours a day. That's insane to me. Like, put it this way. If you are on social media for 4 hours a day, an hour a day, 2 hours a day, all right, just imagine this is literally what you're doing, whether you notice it or not. You're literally holding a glass rectangle thing, and you're just taking your finger and you're just sliding down. I mean, that's literally what you're doing. Now, yeah, you're looking at stuff, you're reading stuff, you're consuming stuff, but you're literally just sitting there on a rectangle glass thing and just sliding down. I mean, what the heck? Like,
do you think you could have do you think that's a net bad for society or a net good that everyone is just scrolling through TikTok for 4 hours a day?
I don't know. I think it depends on what they're consuming. I mean, if they're getting knowledge, then that could be good. But I don't think the majority of things on TikTok are knowledgeable.
Or not? No, I don't think so.
So and honestly, if you're doing something for 4 hours a day, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's not really productive unless I would probably lean towards no. What would you say?
Yeah. I mean, same play. I mean, I would say no. I mean, unless you're trying to learn how to promote something on TikTok by consuming it for 4 hours, I mean, I can't see how that would be productive. I mean, I don't know if you know who Mark Benioff is. He's the Salesforce. It's like this company that he's like the CEO of Salesforce. They have like some client. They like do client services. He was saying how Facebook is the new cigarettes, and how all these social media platforms they're exploiting human psychology, and at some point that's just going to compound, and it's going to lead to a lot of psychological difficulties for people in the future. Like I mean, think about our great grandkids, will they even be able to sit through a movie if, you know, their attention span is so short?
Yeah,
You know?
a shorter attention span is definitely not good. A good solution to that though is meditation. I hear that meditation restores the gray matter in your brain, I believe. I think that's what they call it, and that helps you focus more. I notice that when I meditate, I'm way more able to focus. So that's a good solution to it. But yeah, I mean, if our attention spans are getting lower, that's just not good. I mean, that's really bad, because in order to really learn something, you have to focus and think about it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So like what, 100 years ago, I mean, remember when people said that there were going to be flying cars
yeah,
in like the year 2000, and then the year 2000 came and
no
you
flying
have
cars.
like no flying cars? So do you think that like that's the reason why people have stopped to project the future as much? I mean, what is AI going to turn into? Are we literally going to have like robots walking around at some point, or is that going to look completely different, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what the purpose of robots walking around would be. Like I know that's a trendy thing that we see in like movies about the future, or whatever. But I just don't know unless unless artificial intelligence somehow creates it itself, which would be really weird. And at that point, are we even alive? You know.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think that we're always going to use technology to make things better. Hopefully, I think that's kind of the purpose of it. Um, but I think that people have stopped projecting the future. I mean, I just think it's hard to now, and it's hard because it's changing so fast. I mean, you have,
Mm.
we had 4K and now we have 8K, and it's like, whoa, what the hell? What happened to the 6K? Like I don't even, maybe I don't know what I'm saying about that, but it's just like we're advancing super quick. Um, are advancing super quick. So I just think it's hard to predict. I think it's hard to predict, and I think that that's what makes some people great. The people that can see in the future are the people that end up creating the most change. I think that's what it means to be a visionary, is being able to see the future and then go and create that future. And not everybody has that vision, but the people that do have that vision, that's what makes them so great and unique, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And also I think like people that can see the future see things so differently. You know, like I mean, in 1998, people were thinking about flying cars, and Steve Jobs was thinking about, you know, the iPhone, something
Yeah.
completely different. You know, when Elon Musk started SpaceX, no one was thinking about Mars, and then he kind of brought that in. And so like people that can see the future typically see things completely different, you know?
Yeah, no, for real. And I think it's probably the stuff they're consuming too. I know, like a lot of people we just talk about, they read a lot of books. Elon Musk cites the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which definitely influenced him. I mean, he even says it. So I just think that people are consuming different things, and it makes you think a different way. That's like the psychology part of it. You know, if you consume all these stuff, you're a product of what you consume. So
Yeah. AI, is that summoning the demon, as Elon Musk says? Is that a bad thing,
uh,
do you think?
I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily. I think it's a complicated thing. I think
For
we can use
sure.
it to help us, and I know like we're using it for medicine, and that's really interesting to me. But definitely, the part that freaks me out is when we can't control our own technology, right? So we don't have like a button that we can self-destruct it and break it, and that it can override us. I don't like that. I think that's the part
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Elon Musk is scared of, and that's the part that I think is a little scary. But I think I don't know. I think we're years away, not too far, but we're still away from that point, but not
I
too
think so,
far.
yeah. 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 I would say maybe it'll be massive 70 years, or shorter. What do you think?
Oh, I think shorter, because I mean
Shorter?
the thing about artificial intelligence is it compounds so quickly. I mean, literally,
Mm.
artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? Just learn stuff. It just learns stuff all day, and it doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't need food. It doesn't get tired. It just keeps learning and learning and learning, and then it compounds that interest, or not interest, knowledge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, And that's the scary thing about it is it's gonna go. Like right now, you know, when what I've learned is when it first starts off, it's kind of stupid, but then it learns a couple things, and then it's like it went from like the intelligence of a baby to like the intelligence of like a college student in like a day, and it's like whoa, chill, right? So I don't know. I think we're far, but not too far away from that, and I think hopefully humanity will do the right thing and make sure that we can stop it if we need to, and we use it for good.
Yeah, I forget who. Maybe it was Elon or maybe it was Jeff, but I heard someone say that, you know, if AI were to be very, very intelligent, I'm not sure if their first instinct would be to terminate the entire human race. Like, you know, maybe it'll be in their best interest to work alongside us than to like terminate us.
Yeah.
Um, but I would think at some point they would be so much smarter than us that, I mean, we wouldn't even necessarily be
I
needed
don't,
anymore,
you
you
know,
know?
it's kind of weird though. Like, can a machine think for itself? Like, I mean, artificial intelligence is interesting. Like, a machine that can truly think for itself, like that really makes me think, what is consciousness? Like, it's like I know we're getting into some deep stuff now, but like, what does that even mean? Like, because artificial intelligence right now, it's like it's able to like see pictures and match certain faces and stuff like that. That's like machine learning. That's just like comparing a lot of stuff. But to truly think for itself and have opinions on stuff, I like, what is that? I don't even know.
Mm. Yeah, I mean,
Like
some people say that,
when we talk
yeah,
about a machine being able to decide if this is right and wrong, like you're getting into like morality and stuff now. Like, where does it get its morality from? Is there real morality? You know, like it's just it goes full circle again. It's like
yeah, yeah.
last time we talked. So
I mean, there's definitely an argument that AI would just be a projection of humans, right? There's nothing that an AI can think that a human wouldn't, maybe. Um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, if you go into consciousness, then you have to go into like, does everyone have free will and stuff? You know, like is everyone able to make their own decisions?
what do you think?
I mean, I'd like to think so. I'd like to think everyone can make their own decisions, but like, I mean, I'm not sure. This is like gonna take a right turn, but have you seen Rene Descartes' Meditations? Have you read that at all?
I haven't.
Okay. Well, in there, he has this thing about how nothing actually exists, how you can't prove that anything exists.
Mm-hmm.
And most people say, well, no, you can prove something exists. You know, my hand or you know, an object, I can see it, I can feel it, I can touch it, I can hear it.
The first thing I'd ask him is then why did you even write a book if you don't even know you exist? Like, how can you even, you know, I the whole free will thing is interesting to me. I've read some stuff by Sam Harris and stuff, but the whole thing about it, it's like if we don't have free will, then why should we even trust your idea that we don't have free will? I mean, what the hell? Like, it doesn't
Yeah,
make any
yeah.
sense. Or like, same thing too. It's like, I don't know if you saw the TikTok I posted where I talk about reacting isn't thinking. They're not the same thing. And so, if we don't have free will, that just implies that all the laws, the physical laws, are basically telling us what to think. We're just molecules reacting, right, inside of our brain, right? But thinking is different than just reacting. Like you don't when you touch a hot stove, you don't think I need to move my hand, that's hot. No, you just naturally move. That's a reaction. But thinking is like having an opinion on it and really processing something. And so in my opinion, if we don't have free will, well, I don't even know. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the universe just conspired us to come up to the conclusion that we don't have free will? I mean, that's one hell of a chance.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you know, if so he says that nothing exists,
mhm.
but the only thing that you can prove exists is your own thoughts, right? So you can't rely on the senses, because you can't necessarily, just because you see something. I mean, what if your brain is deceiving you? What if your mind is deceiving you? But regardless of if your mind is deceiving you, you still need a mind to even interpret it being deceived.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think that the saying is cogito ergo sum in Latin, which means to think, therefore I am. So regardless of, the only thing you can prove exists is your own thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. So I just got a text. Not to cut this off here, this is very interesting. We're gonna do a part 2 of this episode, but I actually have to go right now, which is unexpected.
Yep.
I know you have to go like 7 or something, right? So
Yep.
It's close to 7. So we're gonna have to end this here, but next episode, or we can even record sooner than next week. Let's continue this conversation about like free will and all that. I think that's interesting.
Yep.
All right then. Well, that has been episode 4.
Episode 4, Conversations with Brian and Elijah.
All right. See you guys later.
Later.